Okay, we're ready to bring the meeting to order.
All right, thank you. This is the Public Safety Committee July 11th meeting. We will start off with the roll call. I am here. Councilman Baldwin is sure Councilman Fullerton is around yet.
I'm here
Justin,
too.
let's wait.
Okay, great.
Cutting in and out, and so it won't be on the record. So let's go ahead and just wait a few minutes. You're not too far. Just drive safe.
Okay, well, we can get started with the police report. I think East here, by the time I get done, they get done, I should be there.
All
All right, Chief Parkinson,
All right,
take it away.
I got it. And Leslie, I don't know if you're able to pull up that report that I sent you.
I just
Or if you all have it.
Yeah.
And I'll just focus on, I won't hit the first few pages of reports there, but just focus kind of on fireworks, unless you have questions at the end of it. But
it's in your email just sent.
What's that?
Sorry, she's still accessing it.
I'm trying to access. Like
it was
today.
just sent.
It's like
minutes
not.
Ago. Sorry, I just want to make sure she
No,
could
no, wait
look
for
at
you.
it as well.
I'll print it.
Is it from June 2023?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
June
Yeah, that's
2023
what I was looking at. I thought I was in the wrong month.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry,
never
when
mind.
we
Okay.
report on them, we close them out.
There we go. All right, I'm good.
So on there is just page 4 and 5 that I'm going to be referring to, which is really just fireworks. The data, there's nothing huge to report. We still continue to trend upwards year over year from 2022 to 23 for our Bonney Lake units. But just for fireworks, some recap items for you. So on the 4th alone, we ran 82 incidents. So that's almost 3 times our normal daily call volume. 39 brush fires, 2 house fires, 1 apartment fire. That apartment fire did have somebody trapped in it who jumped out to escape out of the 2nd floor. You'll see kind of in slide 4 that between June 28th and July 10th, we had 50 fires, 4 of those in Bonney Lake that all occurred on the 4th, which were firework related. And of all those fires that I've talked through, say that was 50 between June 28th to July 10th. When we get into reporting, we're really limited on being able to say something as fireworks if we can't confirm that it was actually started by fireworks. Okay. The odds that we had 50 fires over the course of a week that weren't related to fireworks is just probably not realistic. We might typically have 2 or 3 in that time frame.
Total.
We
Yeah.
have 50 in that time frame. And so what's the cause? Is it discarded, fireworks that were thrown away in a garbage can and caught something else on fire? Or was it something that landed in the field or, intentional, unintentional, that kind of stuff? It usually ends up kind of unknown. But pretty significant weather over the 4th. We did end up with red flag warnings, meaning temperatures, humidity, and what was going on in the atmosphere all led to a pretty significant weather event. With a little bit of wind that added to all of the chaos that we had over the holiday. Luckily, no serious injuries in our service area. So, just outside of the city, the county enacted an ordinance or passed a resolution 2 years ago that allows them to do an emergency ban on fireworks. It's based off weather conditions. They did go through the assessment process. They have to check in weather conditions in a number of places in the county. They did not. It didn't meet the criteria. So even in that significant of weather, it still didn't meet the criteria to do an emergency ban. But just for your reference, City of Edgewood is looking at mimicking that same language, which was my recommendation to their city council, was that it would become really awkward eventually if the county has an emergency ban. And so that would take weather conditions far worse than they were this year, and then say, well, they're banned on this side of the street, but not on that side of the street. So if public safety is ever interested in looking at that, happy to discuss it with you if you're interested.
John, sorry, Chief. John, we actually enacted a emergency ban 3 or 4 years ago. Is that correct?
I don't recall.
To do an emergency ban, you would have, and I'm no attorney, so I might be making up everything I'm about to say, but to do an emergency ban, you would still have to have language that was passed at least a year in advance to allow you to enact that ban, I believe.
On fireworks?
Yes,
The sale or use or both?
probably both.
Yeah, you have to do it the year
Yeah,
prior.
so you have to, to do something for 2024, you would have had to have done it before July 4th of 2023.
Even for an
So-
emergency?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's where, my advice is just, if nothing else, if you have something on record that would allow you to do something in case of an emergency, but even to do that, you have to pass something that allows you to have those emergency powers. And it has to sit there for a year, is my understanding, so.
What is considered as an emergency?
So the way the county went with it, and I think it's probably the most logical understanding that talking about fireworks is about like talking about gun control, right? It's a highly emotional subject, and what they tied it to was weather conditions. And so in wildland firefighting, you refer to things called fuel moisture content of 10-hour fuels. And so what that means is they can measure the fuel moisture of a branch that's about that size in diameter. And there's metrics that are used. They're standardized metrics across the U.S. that say, here's what the weather conditions are right now. When they reach that point, it's considered critical fire weather. And that allows the county fire marshal, in the county's case, to talk with the county executive to make a decision on an emergency ban.
So currently I thought that within the city limits, you can't use fireworks. Am I wrong?
Correct.
On the 4th of July,
Yeah.
And New Year's Eve, and there's a time of.
Okay, just on those
Those
specific days and
the
hours.
code has a specific hours, and then for the prohibition of sale and use, we have in our code like a procedure for doing an emergency, like stopping the sale and use, and the mayor would consult with like the police chief or fire chief, and then it would go to and the mayor would make a recommendation to council.
Oh, we do that.
Yeah,
Okay, well, there you go. So it sounds like you already have language. So, I think the county's approach at least has some logic because it does tie it back to something that is objective data that can be measured to assess the risk of actual wildfire events. So, and just, again, it's like we had significant fire conditions. However, it still did not meet the criteria to do a ban this year. And so shifting gears off that, just on fire stations, Station 111 across the street, construction's still on track. It's scheduled for substantial completion at the tail end of February of 24. So looking good over there. Station 118 in Edgewood is just about complete. Station 114 on Lake Taps, construction is underway, and Station 117 into Hawley, which will probably be the one that's most impactful to the city of Bonney Lake, is out to bid right now. So it should have shovels in the ground by early September. So that is all that I have. If there's any other questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Chief. Anyone have any questions for Chief?
Welcome. Sorry, you were a little robotic.
Yeah, well, I started my new job yesterday. I had to get out at 2:30 for my shift ends, and an hour and 10 minutes later, I finally get here.
Oh.
That's just in Auburn too.
No, it's in Tukwila now.
Oh.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chief. We'll slide over to you, Chief.
Okay, so we have an agenda build tonight, if it's approved.
Actually, we're just on your monthly report, Chief.
Oh, a monthly report? Okay. Well, we've been busy. You guys have the stats there. Our guys have been really busy in the park. One of the things that's helped out the park is we bring it in swing shift early and graveyard cars early, along with one or two park officers or sergeants that volunteer to work overtime. And then our MSU units too have been working the lake quite a bit. We've been able to fill the boats quite a bit. So still super busy, still a lot going on, a lot of parking issues, but it seems the last 2 weeks, knock on wood, to help quite a bit having extra officers there. We're in vacation times with our guys, taking vacations and time off. So I'm hoping that we can keep the staffing levels up in the park throughout July and August.
Do you backfill from other agencies if for some reason? Okay.
No, but we do bring guys in an hour or two or three early, depending on their availability, has helped a lot. The last 2 weeks we've been able to fill 2 positions each day,
Oh, awesome.
so that's helped out a lot.
Okay.
And then, patrol, being able to work basically from 2 to 8 is the big issue there. Right around 4, it starts getting real
The fun
packed,
time.
and then a lot of parking issues still. So definitely in favor of the parking enforcement and the parking meters that have been brought up lately.
Yeah,
So,
I think Ryan's going to be
we'll
talking about that a little later today.
So that's definitely one of the biggest issues there. If they don't have a place to park and they're not double parking, then they seem to kind of go away and go somewhere else. The people who don't want to be there, or that want to be there for the wrong reasons anyway. One of the things I was going to bring up that's brought up the last couple of weeks is where the police park our cars on the boat launch, on the boat, actually on the ramp right there. We park our 2 cars there. I started that back in 2012 because what was happening is people were bringing their boats off the water and parking there, and then unloading and securing their boat and taking their kiddos out and stuff. And what was happening is they were blocking a lane or 2, so people couldn't launch because it's not a very big launch. So it's not just us parking there to be able to get parked next to our police boat.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason. And I tried to explain that to a few citizens. One of them I got through and they understood what was going on. And but we're not just parking there because we're lazy and don't want to walk to the boat, but definitely a reason for that. So
I defended it on public safety. We're saying in the event that they have a land emergency, you can't just go running across the street and then over to the parking lot, in ballpark 4 to grab your car.
Yeah, and our rifles are in the car right there if there's a shooting or they need access to them. But I started that when I was an MSU sergeant when what was happening is people would bring their boat off and literally sit there for 20 to 30 minutes while other people were in line to launch their boat. And it just didn't, we had to deal with it somehow. So that's how we started it. But yeah, no, it is nice having the cars there for sure. It's also nice to be able to drive up, park, jump on that boat and go if we have boating collision or drowning. So, we took custody of, or we took control of 4 police cars. 2 of them were patrol. 1 was a minute admin, AC Boyle, and 1 was a detective car. I can't tell you how relieved I am that we're getting, as the guy who's been in charge of the fleet for the last 10 years. It's very cool that you guys let us get cars, and it's been great having those 4 extra cars. This month we'll be taking 3 more additional cars, and these are cars that we ordered back in the 2020 and 2021. So, so we can get these old Crown Vics off the street, and our fleet is starting to look really good. So
the good old
appreciate
Crown
that.
Vic.
Who's got the truck?
Yeah. We have 2 trucks out right now. One is Van Sickle has one of them, such a big guy, and the other is Mike Gould, who works Graves. He's 6'8", 6'7", 6'8". So
Michael
yeah, we kind of crammed him in a car, so he feels a little better. So yeah, good guy. He really appreciates having that too. So let me see, what else did I have for you? We had MSU training twice on the boat, and we had a floating. Basically took the place of a drowning victim, and everybody had to pull that out of the water and kind of mock scenes type, and that worked out really well. Let me see here.
As a part of training?
Yeah, part of training.
Oh, okay.
We had it twice this month,
Gotcha.
month of June. One of the things I was going to point out with homelessness, I'm in charge of the CSOs, and they've been working super hard on the outreach program. There was a young couple that has been living in the city for last 5-6 years, and he's able to get them to leave the city, and so they're at least for the time being they're gone, and he's able to help them out. I don't know how well they're doing at the moment, but they were initially he got in touch with Job Corps and a few other things and got them out of here. So it's kind of a big deal. It's definitely going to cut down on some of the shoplifting that had been going on. They were stealing bikes quite a bit, and anyway, it was kind of a victory for our CSOs. They continue to tag RVs and abandon RVs and cars and tow them aggressively. That's one of the first things they do in the morning when they get here. One of them covers court, and then the other goes out and looks for cars and RVs and stuff. So they've been pretty proactive with that. Investigations welcome Detective Irwin We had promoted him a few months back, but couldn't fill him because we needed the bodies on patrol. He's a former Seattle cop and a real sharp guy. So he's the new detective in there. He's already had some investigations, training, and experience, so he's going to fit right in there. He's a pretty sharp guy, so get him up and running.
A buddy of mine that's a detective with Pierce County said he ran into him at a training recently and said, that guy is going to be great for Bonney.
He is. He's super sharp.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a real intelligent guy. So hopefully we can keep him in detectives for a while. I think that's about all I have. You guys have the gist of what's been going on. It's been pretty busy.
Like Pistol Annie's recovered a stolen firearm.
Yeah, and they're actually really good. They've always have been good about getting to us when there's anything suspicious going on. And also really good to deal with during an investigation. Like you go over there and they're very compliant. And they have been since they've been open. She runs a pretty good deal over there for us.
A week or two ago, I saw CSO Harrison walking on the backside of WSU Forest, just doing a patrol out there, taking some pictures. And
he has been outstanding.
yeah,
Outstanding.
It was really cool to see him just doing his job.
He is for a guy who's been doing this job for 35 years, he's out there every single day working super hard. So he's a good guy. Good guy. Good to have him.
All right. Thank you. We'll go to report presentation number 3, page 11 in your packet, Prosecutor's Office Monthly Report.
All right, thank you. So for the month of June, we had a total of 411 court hearings. That included 50 arraignments and 132 pretrial hearings. We did not have any parking tickets heard in the month of June, but I'm guessing we just had traffic court today. So I wasn't in court today. Josh was, but I'm guessing we probably had some today. And I'll have that number for next month. We provided a total of 43 discovery packets to defense attorneys. We had just under 30 hours of body worn camera that we provided, or 26.97 hours of body worn camera that we provided in discovery. Total time we spent reviewing was more like 32 hours because we did have some video footage that was being contested by a defense attorney, so we had to watch it multiple times as a part of the negotiation process.
The sentencing, how long, that says as a result of a trial or an arraignment or?
Like actual sentencing?
Yeah, it shows quantity 2 on here.
Yeah, so sentencing is where we've set over the hearing, like for the person to be sentenced. So with a lot of domestic violence cases, we are setting over sentencing to make sure that the victim is contacted and has the opportunity to come and make a statement. Because there was last year, that was a part of the new law that was passed, that victims have the right to be present. We do tell them when the next pretrial hearing is, but we don't want to promise them that the defendant will actually plead guilty at that pretrial because they could fail to appear. We might think we have something negotiated with defense counsel, and at the last minute, the defendant doesn't want to plead guilty, and so it wastes the victim's time if they're showing up multiple times to different pretrial hearings.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we then just set over the sentencing and to give the victim an opportunity to come or provide a written statement.
Okay. Do you have anything on like the amount of pleas done in a month?
No, but I could start including that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd just be curious what that number looks like. Anyone have any questions?
Not yet.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll go down to item number 4, Emergency Management Monthly Report.
Regine wasn't able to join us today, but her report, the monthly report, is in your packet for your review. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to get a hold of her. I think the most significant thing upcoming is next Thursday on July 27th through the East Pierce Interlocal Coalition that we belong to. We're going to be doing a all day long functional exercise on mass care and sheltering. So that will be one where we go over to the new Public Services Center. That's our backup EOC. We're going to do it there. We will actually put together our EOC and call things to order and As I said, it'll be a functional exercise where injects will be given to us participants, and we'll be responding to those. And, Chief, I don't know if you, well, I guess you guys aren't a part of that. So I don't know if I think Buckley is activating
I
ourselves.
think yes, Ryan Chicken is
Yeah.
with us, I think.
And
I do think we have it on our calendar to
Yeah.
swing by, but,
drop off snacks or something.
Oh, man.
is that on, sorry, that's on,
July 27th.
okay.
And for our EOC, it'll be over at our new Public Services Center on 96th. All day of that.
And that's the entire East Pierce Coalition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will they all be there, or they'll be
No, like I
activating
said, I
at their
think the
own?
Buckley is activating, and I believe
Okay.
Sumner.
I believe Puyallup is playing as part of that as well.
I had a question. Is other than trying to figure out where to put the, well, I guess what to do with people that do flood up here. My question was, have they, I'm assuming so, but have they talked to kind of these larger areas such as like a school's gymnasium and things like that?
Yeah,
could
so
shelter the
that's
people?
one thing that the Regine is working on
Okay.
is those certain partners, if you will, and
Yeah.
making those contacts.
Okay.
Schools, religious-based
Yeah.
institutions,
Okay.
Red Cross, and
Gotcha.
trying to figure out, what we would
Like what's
do
up there.
to benefit. I do know that in talking to Regine and their conversations with the Red Cross, is they said, don't count on us for like 2 weeks.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Unless it were something like, the chief mentioned, the apartment. Handful of individuals. If
Okay.
it is a mass incident.
An influx.
We are on our own.
Okay. I had a question also about the outdoor siren warning system, the LAR drill,
Mhm.
aka the LAR drill. I saw that it's been updated and upgraded, and I saw that there's testing happening. What has changed about it?
Ryan, I don't know.
So it shines, so the sound has changed.
Okay.
Yes.
Less noticeable now. It's more subtle, like it should be.
Calm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really coming. Got it. Okay.
It's like the old tripping clocks we all had back in the early 90s. All right. We'll go into now discussion action item number 1, AB 23-109, Resolution 3168, an ILA with the City of Bonney Lake and the Sumner Bonney Lake School District for a SRO program. Chief?
So we're able to reach an agreement with the Bonney Lake Police Department and the Bonney Lake Sumner School District for an SRO. We've had that since 2019, 2020 school year. This should bring us, if it's passed, all the way through 2026. They're going to provide $92,600 per year towards the SRO and a 5% adjustment each year. So it's good news that they want to be a part of that and want to keep this going. Darren Wolfschlager is our current SRO, and we have somebody who, after he's talking about retiring possibly next year, we have somebody who's coming up through the chain, actually went to Bonney Lake High School, who's interested in taking that spot. So
Wow.
big shoes to fill. Darren's done a great job. Darren Wolfschlager is the current one.
Yeah.
Taylor Graham
Graham,
is
yeah, Taylor,
the guy who played college baseball, went to.
That's what I
Bonney
did
Lake
my
High School.
ride along with.
Oh, did you?
He's a good
Yeah,
guy,
Teddy Graham, yeah, cool. Good guy, and he's interested in doing that, so yeah, it's good news for us if it's passed, and that'll keep us a police officer at the school through that time.
I have no issues with it going on the consent. Do I review?
I don't. I did have a question. So it's one SRO, and where does the SRO go? Does he just stay at Bonney Lake, or?
The school district itself has one with Sumner, Pierce County, and Bonney Lake.
Yeah.
Okay, so the SRO would be at Bonney Lake High.
He spends most of his time at Bonney Lake High School, but he also goes to the elementary and
Oh, okay.
to middle schools as well.
Here in the city,
Okay.
Sumner does their own, and then the county sheriffs have the ones that are outside of city jurisdiction.
Okay, gotcha.
Officer Wilshire has been doing this for a while, and he's visible throughout the week. And he's always there. So
Okay.
definitely get
My
our
husband
money's
was
worth
an
with him.
SRO for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I love about Officer Walschlager is just his personality is as big as he is, and you know, it's such a great positive interaction for all the kids. My daughter in 4th grade knows him because he came and played drums with her at the elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
That
sat
is
in,
gonna be
sat
big
in with
shoes
the
to
modern
fill.
band, you know. So.
Yeah, no, he cares. He cares about the school. He cares about the students, and he doesn't. He's one of those guys too. Is a lot of SROs will go to the school and they just deal with the school. He's on the radio all the time too.
Yeah.
So if something comes up, he jumps right on it, takes it.
Yeah, it's crucial to get that positive interaction with law enforcement early on. That you know, it doesn't become an issue between them and the blue. It's a matter of I know who I can go to for help, and you know, Darren's a great role model for that.
It's important to choose the right officer for that position for sure. Yeah.
So this will go on the consent for July 25th.
That's good.
All right. We have a non-agenda item on here that Ryan had asked us about, and that was parking meters. Ryan, you want to take that discussion point?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I apologize in advance. I hope there's no technological issues. I was planning on being present with you all, and some issues crept up that necessitated me being remote. So what I had for you today is just wanted to talk a little bit about paid parking at Allen York Park. I sent the 3 committee members an email about an hour and a half prior to our meeting today that was basically my response back to an email from Councilmember McClymonds regarding, it sounds like he's had some conversations with some constituents about the city potentially charging for parking at Bonney Lake Parks. And I want to clarify, we're only talking about Allen York Park at this time. And he indicates that that's a non-starter for all the citizens that he has talked to. The concerns seem to be that it will prevent those that are less privileged from using the park, and suggested that those people also suggested that only the honest people will pay and others will ignore the rules. And so I wanted to address that a little bit. I included a little bit of background in my email response to him, and I can just briefly summarize here. Paid parking at Allen York Park has been part of the council's vision since I think we started talking about this in 2018 or 2019. And it was included as part of the 21-22 biennial budget at a total of $60,000. Because of just, as we all know, issues with trying to figure out what we were going to do at the park, we did not act on it at that time, although there were presentations to CDC about potential alternatives. But we tabled it. So at the beginning of this year, March 14th, I went back to Finance Committee and asked if I could still move forward with this effort and spend up to $60,000 in order to do that. I was given the okay from the Finance Committee for the financial portion of that. And I did some research and I came up with another scenario, which is probably something that's familiar to all of us if we've been into some of our bigger cities or even some of our small ones. It's a company called Wayleader, and their solution for paid parking is basically it's all online. You would see signs posted with a QR code. You walk up to it, you scan the QR code, you make payment over your phone, you enter your license plate and a couple other identifying features, and you pay for your parking that way. I brought this back to CDC on May 16th of this year. It was received favorably, and at that point believed that we had permission to continue moving forward. And so I did that. We right now are just at the point where we have, because of the cost of the contract, which is only $8,900, $8,950, that falls underneath a $10,000 threshold, and we're able to just move forward with administrative approval to process that contract. So we did sign a contract. However, we have not made payment for it yet. A condition of the contract is that you pay up front. So we are starting to go down this road, and then I received this email from Councilmember McClymonds. And so I wanted to come back to public safety as soon as possible and see if I can get some direction from this committee about ways we can move forward. I believe, based on the comments that I read in Councilmember McClymonds' email, that what is presented there about honest people are being the only ones who pay, I agree. Others will ignore the rules, and if they do, as you know, they will be severely impacted by that decision, as he recently passed a $250 fine for parking illegally at Allen Yard Park. I am working with the chief currently on being able to provide a solution for staffing that when I return to Finance Committee for approval on that, we'll put potentially another code enforcement officer out there, and one of their primary responsibilities will be parking enforcement. So I don't believe that people who are parking at Allen York Park illegally are going to simply be able to ignore the rules and not pay the price. The problem that we have is that Allen York Park is the only free park on the lake, and we get overflow from the Pierce County Park. We get overflow from many other areas. We need to honestly take a stand here and start bringing some more control to that park, and certainly instituting a pay to park structure will assist with that. I know the chief spoke very vocally previously about that being a solution that he supported. And as you recall, I believe it was Mother's Day when we had our big near riot down there. We had people from the public show up at the next council meeting. Pay to park was brought up as one of the potential solutions we were considering, and it received very vocal support from those in the audience that night. So I just leave that information with you. And as I said, what I'm looking for from this committee today is, do you feel comfortable continuing to allow me to move forward? Or is there another direction that you would like to go and you just don't want me to work on it at all? Would you like this to come back to a workshop to discuss again? This has been talked about over the years many, many times. And so I will just leave that leave my discussion there. And I look for your input.
Thank you, Ryan. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I do have a question. I did receive an email, and I was wondering why we haven't opened the new ballpark. And also, I was thinking we were going to be charging for boat trailer parking. I wasn't thinking of like all of the parking, but that does sound like a solution that might be something we should consider, but
Yeah.
I do feel like we probably need full council discussion. Like I don't feel comfortable without a majority making a decision on that, but
If I may, we already did make the decision on that. We voted for it in the budget and approved it. Ryan's already spent the money.
oh, okay,
We haven't paid the bill yet.
yeah,
It passed CDC. I'm trying to look to see, but it passed CDC with Councilmember McClymonds in it already, and it's already passed finance, and I believe public safety at some point. So I mean, all the council members have seen it at some point and had the opportunity to learn. Councilmember Baldwin?
Yeah, I hear what everybody's saying, and I agree with you. I remember these conversations
Yeah.
and things like that. But I think the biggest, I get everything that you're saying too, Ryan. I completely and utterly agree and understand. I do think that, anytime, even though we've been having discussions as government over a period of time, when the community starts to hear about certain things that ruffle their feathers or they're not okay with, I don't know that we should just push forward and ignore that. I think that's not doing a service to the people. And so, because there's all kinds of things that go on in government, even though we say like, oh, it's open, it's online, you can watch it, but we know that not everybody is paying attention. And so when they do and they see something and they talk to us about it, even though we've been in conversation about it and we know all the gist and the details and the reasons why, it's clearly been maybe missed for some people. And so I don't actually feel comfortable just being like, okay, it doesn't matter if Councilmember McClymonds has received some information from local constituents. And even though we have great reasoning and we have talked about it repeatedly, it clearly bothers some people. And so, and I don't know. I just don't feel
should
comfortable
we do,
ignoring it.
I mean, is there a way to do a survey, or like if we just post a sign and say, here's the future plans, there are, if you post signs at the park, then we're going to have a bunch of people come to council meeting, which I would actually welcome. because we post a sign and say, hey, this is potential site for pay parking. And then that's when everybody's going to get their feathers ruffled and they're going to start coming to council and saying, hey, wait a minute, what the heck's going on around here? Now, why are you going to charge us for parking? And then we can get both pros and cons.
I think we're, at that point, we're setting precedents that anything we've done as a council over the last 4 years, any budgets we've approved and any CDC actions we've taken or public safety actions or finance committee actions can be easily overturned 6 months, 8 months, a year after the fact. I think that's a pretty dangerous precedence to set, that, you know, all of this stuff has been on every open public meeting option since at least November of last year when we were doing our budget discussions, and probably prior to that with just the decision cards, because this came through as a decision card we renewed last year from something we didn't accomplish the previous biennium. So like Ryan said, this has been going on for over 4 years and has had fingerprints on it from every one of the current council here. And we can't go back and set the precedence that just because someone was unaware then that we get to overturn that now, especially when we have a bill ready to pay right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's a super slippery slope on doing that. You know, the unawareness of those is not, you know, and it's not hard. It's not intended to be harsh to say, but those that weren't engaged back then that shouldn't have the ability to change what all the thought and process and action and staff time and legal time. And we've had plenty of roundtables and the parking, or not the public Allen York park plan recently, or the trails and parks plan went out, you know, and I don't know if there was any concerns about that then, but this is not a new thing.
I mean, I'm not proposing that we do what Gwendolyn is saying, because I do think that would be going backwards quite a bit. I think it's worth maybe having one more conversation about it with the council.
But it's already been approved.
I mean, I said my piece.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment, first of all, not to lose Councilmember Fullerton's question about the Field 5. Field 5 is open, and signs were removed today and gates were open today. That was just an oversight. It became available for use on July 1st after we held our ribbon cutting there at the end of June. But we do have gates open. They will be closed each day at 9 p.m., which is the closing time for the park. And Keller, you and I need to talk about that briefly when you get a moment, because I'm hoping we can get support from the PD to close those gates at 9 p.m. each night.
Yep, that's not a problem.
Cool, thanks. Sorry for putting you on the spot right there.
No, you got it.
Yeah, they open today, so I think we would start that today. I guess the only thing I have is, obviously I am happy to comply with whatever the majority of the council has would like me to do in this case. It is a little frustrating, to be frank, at the staff level, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you, to get direction to move forward on things and be pulled backwards. And so my hope here would be that as we move forward, that we'll be able to address these things. Frankly, proactively the first time around. It's hard when we have conversations with people, with vendors, with many different people. We think we have clear direction, and then we're told no. We're people who like to get things done, you know, and we ultimately we believe that this would be a way to make the park a better place for all our users. We're always going to have people who don't want to pay. We all know that. And so if you announce it, I'm sure you'll get people who show up and say, I don't want to pay $5 for 8 hours of parking, or whatever the price may be. It's probably going to be something like that. That would be something we'd be bringing forward to talk to the council about. But I think we have to look at a bigger picture here, frankly. And that park is at times, and this is no offense to our first responders, but at times it's proven itself to be unsafe. And as a city, I believe our bigger duty is to step forward and assert more control so that it can be for everyone. With that being said, though, I'll step off my soapbox and just be happy to comply with whatever it is that you all wish.
Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I sat in with you and the police chief on that presentation from Wayfinder. As I recall, this is a completely modifiable program, so it isn't set pricing, 24/7. We could have, the day of the Easter egg hunt. We don't have to charge for parking. Is that correct?
That was my question. Also, was Tunes at Taps, Bonney Lake days? Are we going to be charging for those days when we're trying to encourage people to come down and participate with the city?
And that would be part of our whole discussion on pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have total control over all of that. We could designate days as free parking. We could designate reduced rates for, different classifications of vehicles and or users. For instance, I don't think you would ever want to charge for disabled parking. So you do as the users of the system, being us, the city, we would have total control over all of that.
So I was kind of going back over in my brain because I was thinking that the whole time we were actually discussing like the arms and the boat trailer parking that we were going to be charging so that we could kind of discourage people from wanting to park at their trailers at the park. But I don't recall having.
And you may not, because a lot of that was finance and CDC.
Okay.
No, I was here. It was discussion.
It was a discussion, but I don't think it was brought up.
Decisions was.
Yeah, that was done at this. I think finance.
Yeah, that's correct. There was a presentation given to finance and then one to CDC, had a site plan with it that showed basically where we were thinking at that time, the more expensive kiosk system, where those would be placed and so on. And that was going to be, actually, we were over budget. It was going to be about $70,000 to do that. And it was going to be throughout Allen York.
And now we can do something that would not put us over budget with these QR codes and making reservations for parking, kind of similar to what they're doing down at Reston Way where the movies are and stuff.
There you go. Yeah, this actually will be a savings of about $50,000.
Yeah, and then would this help with park maintenance as well? That we could maybe, if we do make enough money with paid parking, what are we doing with those finances? Are we putting those towards park maintenance so that it specifically goes towards the care of the park and the upkeep?
Yeah, something still certainly to be discussed, but my hope would be, and now to being totally selfish, is that all that money would come back to parks. But obviously that would be something that would have to be discussed and ultimately approved by the council.
I mean, you don't have to convince me. I love parking meters.
I don't love parking meters,
sarcasm?
but
No, I do.
I
know that.
I pay, and I do think that it would help with safety because you're not going to get the people down there, like the teenagers, that if they can't afford to pay to park, then they're just going to go somewhere else, to a free park where they can go. But hopefully that would help with the riots.
I
was just gonna. I'm not advocating for this, but the All-Star game is in town, and whether it's true or not, I saw a sign down in Soto where it's $120 to park to go to the All-Star.
Yeah.
We see that at the Puyallup Fair every year. That variable pricing.
Yeah.
Midweek's cheaper. It ramps up on the weekend.
Yeah, what I was going to add to that, and I think we heard it during AC Keller's presentation today, is that what we hope to be able to experience is that people will show up at the park and realize that there is no parking and frankly go elsewhere. I think that ultimately is something that we need to be able to leverage, is the fact that we are at a capacity. And unfortunately, we can't serve the additional people that are coming in. It's far too painful to park illegally, so they will go somewhere else. I mean, I would love to be able to serve everyone at the park. It's a great park, right on the water. It's awesome. But the fact is we can't. And as long as it all remains free, people will continue to try and come to the park.
What about ballpark 5? You going to charge for that too?
So, admittedly, we've got some issues there to talk about, because for organizations that have rented the field, according to my opinion, they've paid for parking when they rent the field. So John digitally kicked me under the table if I'm getting out of line here, but it is something that we need to discuss, because at the same time, it's not unrealistic to think that if we have the Field 5 parking lot open, you're going to have people who rented the field that want to use it, and you're going to have people going to the park that want to use it as well. And so how do we manage that is something we're going to have to figure out. But my initial thought in response to your question is that would be a pay to park lot as well. We just have to figure out how to handle the renters.
Okay, well, if we have renters and we have a game that day, then you could give them a specific QR code that would allow them free parking. And then if somebody's using it that wants to be at the park, then they're going to have to pay.
Potentially, yeah.
Like a code that when they go in with their QR code, they enter the code, and then that would be free parking because I'm here for. And if you're not here for the game, then you don't have like the discount code or whatever. I'm sure that could be quite easy to add in when somebody pays to rent the field.
Chief Keller had something as well.
I just want to add 2 things. I'm sure you guys have heard this from Chief Jeter as well, but I was there the night that you guys were talking about with the almost riot night, and it initially came out as shots fired, but it was not, and I responded for my residents. And I've been working that park on and off for 15 years, and rarely do we have a problem with local people that are from this area, and most of them are just families that live in the city that just want to take their kids and go cool off and enjoy the park. The last 3 to 5 years has gotten to the point where I'll ask somebody where they're from and why they're here. And that night, a lot of the teenagers spilled over to the AMPM West here off of 410 and Sumner Buckley, and I talked to the kids and asked them where they were from and why they came up, and they were from 2 different high schools in Tacoma, and it hit social media and it spread that basically you can come up and do what you want up in Bonney Lake, and that's a huge red flag. I'm sure you guys have already heard this, but for me it's a huge red flag because it just shows that how fast things spread and go up and do what they want, and they were piling out of cars and parking where they want. There's no easy solution, but when you allow 500 people, it's almost a concert, into a small area and only police it with 4 to 6 police officers, just a recipe for they have to do something to fix the problem, or there will be issues for sure in the future. I really like the idea of giving that, I'm a resident also, but having the people go down and being able to park and enjoy the park, and people who are outside the resident, the city of Bonney Lake pay for parking, and that's what the county park does. And I don't see how that's an issue. If it can be done, Ryan, I don't know. But as a resident, I didn't have my boys in high school go down there because of the issues we were having, and that's not good. I don't like that, because Bonney Lake is a safe place and it's very well policed. But when we let that many people from all the surrounding areas, just last week, one of the sergeants had asked a couple of the kids where they came from, and they were from Lakewood. And so, why don't you go down there, American Lake? And they said, well, you got to pay. There's no room, and it's all it's just all dirt. There's nowhere to mess around. Basically, they can do whatever they want out. So that's why they come up. So I think if we restrict some of that, it will definitely see that they'll go somewhere else. At least a big hunk of them will.
Well, I don't know if that gives you any direction, Ryan.
Not a whole lot. I do appreciate the support. I hear support in the room, and I do appreciate that. But ultimately, you know, I'm also not trying to cause division among council members. I don't. So I I hate to do this, but I really need a yes. Please continue to move forward, or no, we want you to come to a workshop. I
Put
feel like
this
that's
on-
kind of the point we're at.
I mean, honestly, I mean, you guys can outvote me, but my say is nothing's changed from the last time we approved this. So it's not, to me, it's not necessary to bring up or attempt to change course because it's the wheels are already in motion on something. I mean, these two can outweigh me and they bring it to council and I'll be okay with that, but that's my 2 cents.
And certainly, I mean, Councilmember McClymans could bring it up during open discussion at a workshop is another alternative as well.
Well, I think we should go ahead and give Ryan direction, but can we put it like on full council tonight or
No, it's
no?
not on the agenda.
Well, can we add it? Can we make a motion to
And-
add it?
But what
I would just
what are we adding?
honestly,
Yeah,
if-
what are we adding?
Having Ryan discuss what we're talking about.
I mean, we can do that in 2 weeks
We got-
at a workshop.
Well, why wait
Could
2
I-
weeks?
could I- Cause
Yeah.
if I could, it would be a conversation I would much rather be present for instead of virtual, and I won't be able to be there this evening. I'll be there virtually. If the direction is to take it back, I would prefer maybe to go out the 2 weeks to or to the next workshop if that's.
Publicize it and actually have anyone has a concern, it's not something we just slipped in tonight without it being publicized. You know, Kelly can welcome and invite those people that if they have concern to come and listen to the presentation.
Because I feel like what you have to say, I mean, even though you're online, I felt like what you had to say is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Thanks.
succinct, direct, so.
And I do feel like it is going to help cut back, plus it will bring in finances, which are much needed for maintenance of the park and upkeep of the park.
I guess is there a way that you can just maybe just say what you said to us, but to the full council tonight?
Certainly I could. I just hate the technological gap here. I can, but I would just throw this out, and I can't believe this. I'm not switching courses, but I just want to make sure that it's clear that if the desire is to make sure the public knows, and then we quickly add this to the agenda this evening and have the conversation and call it good, then why bring it up anyways? Because we're not giving a chance to the public to actually be there and say anything.
So
And
if
to
we
hear
do
the
it in 2
conversation.
weeks at the council workshop, then people can come and listen and hear the discussion and the whys.
It can be on the agenda in advance, and people can, you know, and Kelly can have the Councilmember McClymans can have the opportunity to talk to those he's talked to and encourage them to come in. Believe me, I would rather somehow find a way to cram it through this evening. But if the intent is to really get the public input, then we should do that the right way as well. If that is your goal, and that's what I heard.
Are you okay with waiting 2 weeks? And
Well, you know, just looking at the calendar, I mean, workshop is next week, the 18th. And then the next workshop would be August 1st, but we canceled that for National Night Out.
I'm sorry, I meant 1 week for the
Well,
work.
so yeah, we
the
could put
workshop.
it on next.
Next week, yeah.
That'd be fine.
I was thinking,
And
That'd be fine.
then at the next council meeting, we approve it.
Well, it's already been approved.
There's nothing to approve, it's just a head nod of,
it's for open,
Keep on
just to
keeping on.
discuss so people know why we're doing it.
all right, sound like a plan next week then?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it. Okay, thank you.
Can we put it down as, because when we have workshops, if we give notice, then we can vote on
There's nothing to
certain
vote on.
things. Okay,
Yeah, this is just,
okay.
It's putting it out there.
Ryan making sure we're okay to keep going in that
Okay.
direction then.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you, Ryan, for other
Thank you.
public discussion.
8 years ago, I tried really, really hard to put a firework ban in order, and I got it down to the limited hours we have on the 4th of July and New Year's. I would still like really, really hard to get rid of fireworks altogether. I don't know that this council is going to go that route, but I want to throw that out there to see if that is a non-starter or a discussion point we want to really consider.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I am not a big fan of fireworks. So you are in the choir with you. However, I am not a fan of just banning fireworks in the city, and I know that part of it too. I'm assuming is to also ban the sale of. Correct? Is that a part of the?
Not. I mean, it could. It wasn't necessarily part of it because I know, but the thing that gets me is the sale of the fireworks. I thought we were keeping to local companies.
We have a limit on the number of stands based on our population, and if I'm not mistaken, it does give priority to local nonprofits. But the last couple of years, we haven't been maxed out on.
Oh, okay. Because the one I went to was I believe a church in Burien was who was benefiting from, and it was the one in the Walmart parking lot.
Oh, okay. Because I've been to the one that benefits. I think it's Bonney Lake, isn't it? Bonney Lake, right?
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
if they still do it or not.
Yeah, that's the one that I've seen. I just think that's going in a little too. Again, I think fireworks catch things on fire is what they do. But I don't know that if we just told everybody like, no, you can't use fireworks at all.
I mean, I feel like for the most part, people try to be responsible. Like when we lit them off, we always buy the ones at Walmart, the ones that are what I would assume are legal, not the big boom guys. And
unfortunately, those aren't illegal either.
We do, we go into the cul-de-sac. We always have a hose out. We always have a bucket of water. I mean, I think for the most part, people are trying to be extremely responsible, but also enjoy this celebration that we've had for, 250 years.
I don't disagree, but 60 fire calls over the last weekend on the 4th of July being on a Tuesday, it seems we're putting the public at a great risk.
And we do a ban on, except for the 4th of July between the hours.
That's what we have. It's only available on anything prior to what 9 a.m.
If they do it outside of that, it's not legal.
Are we not posting that? Are we not letting people know? I mean, are we just kind of doing nothing about it?
The thing about the law, and you can correct me, is I believe it's written where it has to be witnessed by a law enforcement officer, not just a call in and said, hey, my neighbor did that. A law enforcement officer has to witness the discharge of that in a time frame outside of what's allowed, and even mortars, to my knowledge, are still allowed in the state. It's really just sparkler bombs and IEDs and things that are homemade stuff that are what's illegal. But what you can buy at the Muckleshoot is, for the most part, I think everything is legal in the state, and that's where Federal Way has if it blows up or goes up, it's a ban. I think or Auburn, one of the cities, but yeah. I'm not really trying to take away freedoms.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I know that
blowing
we had
yourself
a
up and
bunch
starting
of
house
people
fires
parked
shouldn't
on
be a
Sky
freedom.
Island Drive because there was still bags on the no parking signs.
It's still illegal, or it's still okay to park there. It's 30 days after we approved it.
Yeah, I thought that we had an emergency on the one for Allen York Park, so I figured it was going to be the other one. But I mean, since we already had the no parking signs there, just to remove the bags wouldn't make the ordinance because it's still not supposed to be parking there, even though the bags are on there. So
no, it's currently legal to park on Sky Island Drive at this exact moment.
Okay.
It's 30 days after we put that ban in place when it goes into effect.
Okay.
So, and it was only 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah.
When that was passed.
According to Ryan, it's going to be the 17th of July. But I was like, oh my, okay.
I did confirm that date today. It'll be July 20.
It'll be what? You cut out. Ryan, you cut out.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. My phone started ringing while I'm in here, and it totally killed everything. Yeah, so I just confirmed today. That was a question we had in Public Works: was when can those bags come off? And the 30 days expires on July 22nd, which is a Saturday. So we'll be pulling those bags off on July 24th, which is the following Monday. Just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, with Chief Parkinson there, just in reference to the fact that, you know, fireworks and guns, they kind of have, they have certain emotions attached to them. I don't know that we could just come in hot and be like, no gun, no fireworks. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. If we were to put it out and do this survey in every single Bonney Lake,
Which we did 8 years ago, and
how many people responded to it? These surveys always,
I don't know, but as
frustrating
someone that
because
does
it's a
surveys
small-
for
Put
my
it on
work,
the ballot.
it's always
always a small portion.
Put it on the ballot. That's what we did with the marijuana ban.
we put it on as an advisory.
I mean, then you'll get a lot more response. And at that point, you can have the confidence to say we are doing the will of the people.
Well, when we had the open house, we were attempting to do the will of the people, but we still didn't. That's why we ended up keeping it from 9 a.m. until midnight, I believe was the hours.
Yeah, I
people,
like the smaller amount of time, but I can imagine myself, like going into my neighborhood, for example, and letting everybody know there's going to be no fireworks next year. We made a decision as a council. None of you can do fireworks, even though you are all doing it responsibly. We made this decision. I don't know that they would be excited about that. And I think that's
I'm
part
sure
of
there'd be a pretty popular majority that would, and just for
that would support a ban.
I would think so.
Oh, I disagree with you.
For
I totally disagree with
just for
you.
legal reasons, even if we pass that tonight, it wouldn't go into effect until 2025 because it's a 365-day notification for something like that, and that we're already within that for the July 4th, 2024. So it would be 2 years before that actually went into effect. A little under 2 years. Which when we passed it 8 years ago, it was the same thing. It didn't go into effect until 7 years ago. Maybe 6 years ago, the time change duration.
Yeah, I guess I'm just under the impression that the majority of people would not support that. And
I would not.
so I guess that's where,
Would you
unless
support
I
it
knew
if the
for sure.
people said that?
Oh, yeah, if I knew
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that's what the people want, but I'm not here to make decisions
But I don't mean a
for
survey.
them.
That's
10,000.
exactly what you're here to do. Literally the job description.
When I know what the will of the people
Okay,
is,
I'll
yes,
send you
when
all
I
the
feel that
reports,
it's
too.
a constitutional thing,
Well,
the right to bear arms doesn't say not fireworks. It doesn't say you can't carry around a cannon if you want to. There's no definition of what that is.
Firework is harm.
Well, people
Well,
who want to ban it would feel that way.
I think it's okay to disagree.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
You guys have anything else for open discussion?
Justin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just as a quick update, you may have seen it, the TNT just put out a notice today. We did find a deceased individual this morning in Cedarview Park. And police responded, medical examiner responded, no sign of foul play. We did have to close the park for about a half a day.
Which part?
Cedarview?
Cedarview. Terrible.
Anyone else for open discussion?
We need to go back to number C, approval of the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyone have any issues with the minutes as they? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. All right, we got it. All right, with that, I guess we are adjourned.
All right.
Thanks,